Johnny Depp. You know him from his unforgettable performances in iconic roles like Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean or Edward Scissorhands. He's an actor whose face is instantly recognizable and whose career has spanned decades. But, as is often the case with celebrities, what we see on the screen doesn't always reflect the person behind the public image. The truth is, Johnny Depp has lived a life filled with ups and downs, both professionally and personally, and his name has often been associated with controversy. Yet, amidst all the headlines and drama, there's a side to him that rarely makes the news, his quiet, unassuming acts of kindness. And today, I want to tell you about one such moment, a story that highlights just how unexpected and meaningful kindness can be. It's easy to think of celebrities as these larger-than-life figures who exist far beyond the struggles that most of us face. They're the ones with the wealth, the fame, the power. We often forget that, like the rest of us, they face their own challenges. And that's why it's so refreshing when we get a glimpse of them doing something completely unselfish and deeply human. I want you to picture something for a moment. Imagine that you're facing a challenge that you never thought you'd have to face, something you didn't expect to deal with, something that changes the way you go about your day-to-day life. For some, this might mean dealing with a disability, an illness, or some other obstacle that makes life just a little bit harder. For others, it might be a sudden, unexpected event that turns everything upside down. Either way, it's the kind of struggle that can leave you feeling alone, overwhelmed, and unsure of where to turn. Now, think about how you might feel if, in the middle of that struggle, someone stepped in to help. Not for a story, not for the spotlight, but just because they saw that you were struggling and wanted to do something about it. That's exactly what happened with Johnny Depp. This wasn't a moment that was captured on a red carpet or shared in a magazine. No, this was a simple, quiet act of kindness, one that didn't require cameras or applause but one that was as impactful as any grand gesture could ever be. It's often said that the most powerful moments in life are the ones that happen without anyone watching. In this case, Johnny Depp saw someone who needed help, and he offered it. The person he helped wasn't a famous celebrity or someone he knew personally. It was just an ordinary person facing an extraordinary challenge. And in that moment, Johnny Depp didn't hesitate. He didn't think twice. He stepped in, offering help in a way that only someone with true empathy and kindness could. It wasn't about grandiose gestures or public displays, it was just about offering his time, his care, and his support when it mattered the most. You might be wondering, what exactly did Johnny do? How did this small act of kindness unfold? Well, it wasn't a dramatic rescue or a life-changing event, it was much simpler than that. He saw someone in need, and without making a big deal about it, he stepped in to offer his help. Whether it was assisting with a task, providing support, or simply offering a kind word, it was enough to make a difference. And sometimes, that's all it takes, a simple gesture of kindness that lets someone know they're not alone. And this is where things get really interesting. Because, when you look at this story, it's easy to focus on the what of the act, what Johnny did, but what I find even more fascinating is the why. Why did he choose to help in this particular way? Why did he choose to act with such humility and quiet compassion? The answer, I believe, is rooted in something deeper than just being a good person. It's a reflection of a certain mindset, a mindset that's willing to look past the superficial and focus on what truly matters. It's a mindset that sees a person, not just a problem, and that chooses to offer help not because of what they'll get in return, but because it's simply the right thing to do. And this, I think, is a lesson we can all take to heart. How often do we go about our lives, wrapped up in our own concerns, and overlook the people around us who are struggling? It's easy to get caught up in our own little worlds, to think about our own issues and not stop to notice when someone else needs help. But when we do take the time to look beyond ourselves, to really see the people around us, that's when we start to make a difference. You see, the thing about kindness is that it's not always about doing something big, something dramatic. In fact, the most meaningful acts of kindness are often the ones that go unnoticed, the ones that don't get headlines. It's the little things that can have the biggest impact. The small gestures that might seem insignificant at first, but that make a world of difference to the person on the receiving end. In Johnny's case, it wasn't about doing something flashy or for the public eye, it was about being there when it mattered. He didn't make a big announcement or publicize his good deed. He simply stepped in when he saw someone who needed help. And that's the kind of kindness that truly resonates. It's not about seeking attention or recognition, it's about making a difference, no matter how small. Now, let's talk about why this is important. We live in a world that often seems to be obsessed with instant gratification and attention. Social media has made it easier than ever to broadcast our lives, to seek validation from others. But, in doing so, we sometimes lose sight of what really matters. We get caught up in the noise and forget that the most meaningful actions are often the quiet ones, the ones that don't require applause or praise. In a world where so many people are constantly seeking recognition, it's refreshing to see someone like Johnny Depp, who doesn't do things for the attention but simply because it's the right thing to do. And that's a lesson we can all take with us. We don't need to be famous or wealthy to make a difference. We just need to be willing to look around and see where we can help. Whether it's offering a listening ear to a friend, helping a neighbor with their groceries, or simply being there for someone who's going through a tough time, kindness is something that's within all of us to give. The impact of these small acts of kindness can't be overstated. When you offer your help, your support, or even just your presence, you might not realize it, but you're changing someone's life. You're letting them know that they matter, that they're not invisible, and that there are people out there who care. It doesn't matter if you're a movie star or just an ordinary person. Your actions can have a profound impact. Think about it, how many times have you been in a tough situation, feeling like no one cares, only to have someone show up for you in a small but meaningful way? Maybe it was a friend who texted you just when you needed to hear from them, or a stranger who smiled at you when you were feeling down. These little moments can turn your whole day around, and they remind you that you're not alone. That's the power of kindness. It doesn't have to be grand, it just has to be genuine. And here's the kicker, when we help others, it's not just them who benefits. Helping others is also good for us. It can boost our own mood, increase our feelings of satisfaction, and even improve our overall well-being. There's something deeply fulfilling about making a difference in someone else's life, and that sense of fulfillment is one of the reasons why kindness is so important. In the end, it's the small moments, the quiet gestures, that can change the world. Johnny Depp didn't do something extraordinary in the sense of a grand public spectacle, but his kindness made a huge difference to the woman he helped. It wasn't about attention or fame, it was about being a good person and offering help when it mattered most. And in that simple, unassuming act, he showed us all what true kindness looks like. So, next time you find yourself in a situation where you could offer help, don't hesitate. It doesn't matter how small the action is, just do it. You never know how much it might mean to someone else. And, in the process, you might just change your own life too. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a small act of kindness that made a big impact on your life? Or maybe you've been the one to offer that kindness to someone else. Share your story in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more heartwarming stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.